What a whirlwind start to the Premier League season it has been for Manchester United. Eric Ten Hag has arrived and there was a lot of hope, a lot of anticipation, a lot of expectation from Manchester United fans that the football would improve, that the team would grow, the team would develop, the team would move in the right direction. There was some positivity around pre-season, improvements in the way in which Manchester United were playing football, some of the results, and there was a very mooted, maybe undercurrent of hope going into the new campaign. Now, this was all completely and utterly smashed to pieces against Brighton and then stomped and turned into dust against Brentford with two horrific back-to-back defeats, abject performances, a lack of effort from the players, and very reminiscent of the latter stages of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the majority of Ralph Ragnick's time in charge, where there just was no effort. And there was a real fear that Man United would not be able to maybe even finish in the top half of the table if there was a lack of effort. Of course, with the ongoing off-field issues fans had with the Glazers, the stadium leaking, at the time, at that moment, a lack of investment in the summer, only £120 million having been budgeted, poor speed of execution, and even some mooted threats in the media that Ten Hag could walk away. They reacted to this, the board, and they sanctioned more money to be spent with the signings of Casemiro and Antony. And there was a slight sense of appeasement. While this is all going on, United managed to win 4 games back to back in the Premier League for the first time in 12 months, beating Liverpool and Arsenal at Old Trafford in the process. So there is a sense of, again, a bit more excitement. The fans can see some progression. There's some hard work. There's been a better shape. But of course, a big reality check kicked in on Thursday against Real Sociedad in the Europa League. A number of the fringe players bought back in. Some of the players dropped because of a lack of performance, a lack of effort, a lack of dedication. And old habits almost die hard. Now, United, of course, got screwed with a very bad penalty decision. But when you look aside from that, very, very poor performance. And the reason that I bring this all up, lots of things have been done by the manager, dropping Maguire and Ronaldo, the club trying to sign some long-term as well as some short-term targets for the manager. The club listening to the manager and moving away from low-quality, unwanted targets like Arnautovic and Rabiot. The club allowing Ten Hag to implement really tough training, bringing the players to run harder the day after a defeat, big fines if people are late, misbehaving, etc. The manager continuing to pick a winning team 3 or 4 games on the bounce. These are all things that we just haven't seen consistently enough over the last 9 years. It's not to say other managers haven't done them, and during the early stages of that, there's been improvements. But there's 2 things I want to say to Man United fans today. Sustainability to create continuity and consistency is required. And calm and patience amongst the fans. As great as the opening period may feel to some right now, after winning 4 games back to back, being on the edge of a top 4 position, running harder, being in a better shape, calm is needed. And Thursday is a prime example. This squad is not Ten Hag's squad yet. This squad and team is not integrated with the manager's style of play yet. The likes of Antony, the likes of Casemiro are still going to need time to settle. I wouldn't even expect the likes of Malacia to even continue playing at the same level he has in recent games. In fact, against Arsenal, he was quite poor at times, actually, when you watch the game back. And the reason that I bring this up is that patience is key. Man United are quite literally at the beginning of another new rebuild. Now, I know that rival fans will tease you on this. Rival fans will say, well, you've been rebuilding for 9 years. Why should we give you any time? Well, I don't expect any time from rivals. I expect rivals to banter at each and every opportunity they get, to slam at each and every opportunity you get. Every time a Man United fan delivers reasoning behind a problem, they won't accept the reasoning. They'll just say you're making excuses. We just want to hear, all rivals want to hear is you say one thing and one thing only, that my football team is crap. That's the long and the short of it. So I can take it from rivals because it's a very simplistic, basic binary process that we kind of all do to each other in many ways. So it isn't specifically towards Man United, but it's the way rivals fans work. But Man United fans are the ones here. Man United fans are the ones for me that I'm imploring to stay calm. I'm imploring to stay sensible. I'm imploring to stay level-headed. And the reason I bring this up is because there's going to be peaks and troughs this year. There'll be runs of games where we perform well and win, perform well and lose. There'll be runs of games where we play badly and win. There'll be runs of games where we play badly and lose. And sometimes those things will all mix and match themselves. We'll be brilliant on a Saturday afternoon. We'll win 3-0, and then we'll have a really poor abstract performance in the midweek. And then we'll play good at the weekend, and then we'll have 2 bad performances and 2 good performances. And this is very natural when a club is going through a complete transition and rebuild. And when we say complete transition and rebuild, this is a new style of manager, a new system, a new way of playing football, and a new way of training. The players are enjoying it. The vast majority are enjoying it. We like how we're doing things. We like the direction that we're moving in. But Rome was not built in a day. And this is the one factor that I fear for. We saw this in the first few days of the manager. And even after the defeat against Sociedad, over criticism of the manager. Too much for why did he do this? Why did he do that? Why is he not starting Casemiro? Why is he playing Casemiro? Why is he playing McTominay? Why is he playing Fred? Well, because he's got to bleed players in. But more importantly, this isn't his squad yet. There was no way, and I said this back at the start of the summer, and I'm a bit embarrassed that I haven't seen enough of this from other, top Man United content creators because they speak to a much bigger Man United audience than me. But who in their right mind thought this squad was going to be rid of all its dead wood and employ all the new players we need to try and win a Premier League title in one summer? There was always going to be anywhere between 5 to 10 unwanted players from a desire of the fans or desire of the manager, and a combination of the two remaining at this club at the end of this window. Every other club that has gone through a rebuild in the transition, whether they've completed it and they're winning titles and challenging again, as Liverpool have done in recent years, and they look back with hindsight and go, "Oh, it took those 2 to 3 to 4 years of building and being patient and giving the manager time. It really paid dividends for us." You look at what Man City have achieved, and actually their whole rebuild, as you call it, started at the takeover, and they have progressively got better over a decade or so of football, got better managers each time, become more successful each time. There's been a linear process from one step to another. And of course, they've taken learns from each manager and implemented them and kept the good bits, got rid of the bad bits, and each time improved because they have a club process. Liverpool have created a club process. And although Liverpool might look like they're falling off at the minute because the club doesn't invest enough, they are still a well-run club. That can't be denied. You've got Arsenal fans who have gone through a period of continuously defending Arteta, where most people were saying, I think he's got to go. And it looks like they may be getting paid their dividends on that. So all clubs have done things in slightly different ways, but the ethos remains the same. Well-run clubs with a club philosophy, a club ethos, where you utilize a top head coach for a period of time, will typically yield more consistent results than knee-jerk reaction clubs who change direction every 18 months, who hire the wrong managers, let those managers buy squads in their own image, and then the next person that comes in has a completely different outlook and philosophy on football. And I know I've repeated this many, many times over recent months, but I think now is a really important time to reflect upon this, because Man United have improved. Man United have become better. But as Ten Hag himself has said, I understand fans, they dream, but we are at the start of the process. We are still far away. And this isn't, and do you know why this makes sense? This isn't a Man United team that have been playing a Ten Hag stroke Ajax style of football for 15 years, who have just had a bad 18 months with a manager and have brought in somebody else of a similar but better ilk to pick up a brilliant squad that are used to winning. This is the club that for a decade has fallen away, that hasn't won a trophy in 5 years. 5 years. One of the longest trophy droughts in the history of our football club. And to come in and change everything in one summer is absolutely impossible. So Man United fans have to be strong. Man United fans have to be patient. Man United fans have to get behind Erik ten Hag and do 2 things. Remain patient with him and understand that no matter what tools he's given, Rome was never going to be built within a day, and this problem wouldn't be fixed straight away. Equally, pressure upon the Glazers has to remain at all times. They did in the end spend money. They did in the end bring in, was it 6 players to help rejuvenate this squad? They did move on some of the dead wood, and they did move on some of the players that no longer wanted to be here. But one swift does not a summer make. 3 to 4 windows of this level and above need to happen. Dropping of star players needs to be allowed to happen with impunity. The manager needs complete control. And if he wants to find someone their wages and that player wants to down tools, you side with the management. Not because it's Erik ten Hag, but because you protect that role as head coach. The club has to make it very, very clear to the players that they don't get the opportunity to down tools at this football club. Even if a manager is failing and not good enough, they will look to remove him on, but your standards of players must remain at all times. This is how winning is done. And the owners need that pressure put upon them by the fans. The fans have the biggest voice. The fans can make the most amount of noise, and we control the destiny of this club. Everyone knows I have a stance that if they don't behave how we want as a club, we should pull our money. We should be boycotting. We should be making things very difficult for them. Not everybody wants to go that far. For some people, a protest is enough. For some people, hashtags are enough, and I will respect people's way of doing it. But Glazer out must remain a consistent, prolonged theme from fans at Man United. Maybe even if we do get back to winning and start lifting trophies, it still may need to stay. But for me, patience is required here. Patience with the right people. Patience with the manager, patience with the new players, patience with the individual players in this squad that want to make things work under Erik ten Hag. Don't get carried away with a good run of form. Don't be drawn out by rivals into overstating where you think the team is going to finish this season based on 3 or 4 good runs. Ask them what they think. So get them to praise your club for you. You don't even need to do it yourself. Keep your feet firmly on the floor. But when it comes to those owners, nothing but pressure, 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 pressure every single step of the way. It's been an excellent mini turnaround from Ten Hag. There's no doubt about it. But there is a hell of a long way to go yet.